Hey mamas, you are listening to the Motherhood is Ghetto podcast. We all know motherhood can be a beautiful thing, but girl, it can also be ghetto. Join me as we discuss some of the best and worst parts of being a mom raising kids, all while trying to figure out this thing called life. This ghetto is a safe space, mamas. So welcome to the hood. Hey mamas, welcome back to another episode of Motherhood is Ghetto. My name is Joy, and how y'all doing out there? If y'all doing all right, you already know what to say. Say amen. I pray you are having a great day, a great week so far. We are completed with week 1 of back to school, and we are currently waist deep in week 2. And so far, everything has been okay. Week 1 was successful. Everyone had a great week. We have open houses coming up this week, and then also too, baby girl has her first game this week. So we're pretty excited, and so far everything has been going great. I hope you and your baby school years are off to a great start. I'm glad that you're here. Thank you for being here. And I am super excited to be sharing this episode with you guys today. We are going to be talking about faith and motherhood. So, this is something I want to touch on because in most recent years, I've really had to lean on my faith when it comes to motherhood. And because of the fact that I'm doing this by myself and I'm a single mom, I know that I can't shoulder everything. I can shoulder some things, and I can shoulder a lot of things, but I can't shoulder everything. And there were just some aspects of motherhood, of my motherhood, that I knew that I could not deal with alone. And no one could help me with. No person could help me with. So I did turn to faith and leaned more on my faith when it came to being a mom and making sure that I am mothering my kids the way that they need to be mothered. So I want to talk a little bit about that, and I want to talk about how faith kind of works hand in hand with motherhood and just what I've experienced as far as putting my faith first when it comes to my motherhood journey, and just encouraging mamas that it's okay. It's okay to lean on your faith. It's okay to lean on the Lord. And yeah, so we're going to be talking about that. One thing I do want to mention, and I think is worth mentioning, is that I've always had a belief in God. I've always believed like in a higher power, a higher being, all that good stuff. Um, Throughout my childhood, adolescence, or like into adulthood, it wasn't anything that I really took super duper serious. Like I didn't go to church or anything like that. My parents were pretty open. They were like, believe what you want to believe. If you want to go to church, you can. If you don't, that's fine. So I would say that yes, I did believe in God, but I didn't have a strong foundation in faith. And it wasn't until like I was already married with kids that I kind of even started to understand the concept of faith. And I honestly didn't know how it worked. I thought having faith meant believing in God, but to me, how I interpret it now is so much different and so much more involved. But I can remember going through hard times as a mom and being very worried, very anxious, very frustrated, very much trying to control the outcome of everything and just feeling lost and confused. And I remember anytime something would kind of go wrong, or we didn't have enough money to pay the rent, or we didn't have enough money for groceries or gas, stuff like that, my husband would never really be too worried. And that used to frustrate me. It used to frustrate me so much because I'm like, why aren't you panicked like me? Like, why aren't you trying to figure out a solution like me? But what was going on was my husband had faith. My husband always had faith that things were going to work out the way that they were supposed to. And when the thing actually did work out, I would be how, how do you have faith like that? Like, how do you do that? Like, I was so intrigued. I was like, how do you just know that things are going to work out? And as many times as he explained it to me, it still wasn't catching for me. And I can honestly say that it really didn't start like catching for me until my husband passed away, and I really had no one else to turn to as far as trying to deal with this and trying to cope with it. So that led me to seek more of God and be in his presence more, but also to actually learn what that means. And I remember one day I was feeling very overwhelmed as far as like where we were living, the kids, and honestly, I really just wanted to make sure my kids were okay. I wanted to make sure that in the absence of their dad, they still wouldn't feel like they were lacking anything, which now looking back, I mean, I know now that I can't fill that vacancy with anything, with any amount of love and attention. Like there's just that vacancy that I cannot fill. I can make them feel better, and I can help them to kind of cope with grief and losing their dad, and I can help them and guide them, but I can never fill that void. And I remember getting frustrated and like wanting to do all these things for them and take them on all these trips and save this amount of money for them and make sure they had this and that. And then I was starting to get super overwhelmed, and I was like, I need help. And when I said it out loud, I wasn't thinking in specific help, like terms of specific help. I was just like, I need help. So that moment prompted me to seek more God. So the first way I did it, mamas, was I went through my house searching for a Bible. And I found one. So that was step one. And then I ended up picking up a 52-week Bible study for women. So basically, you read the Bible in a whole year, and each week it has a lesson, to take with you. And it is geared towards women, it's geared towards mothers, like any type of woman you are or wherever you are in life. It is for women. So there were a lot of sections in the book where, it's talking specifically about the mother, the single mother, the mother who's lost her child, the grieving wife, the widow. And that was my jump off point and where I kind of got started in faith. As far as getting started in getting grounded in my faith and rooted in it and really getting to know who God is and what he does in my life, like that was my start. And honestly, now I believe I'm on week 46. So I'm almost done. I've almost read the whole Bible. And it's just been a journey. It's been a journey. I started this a year ago, so I hadn't bought my house yet. I was still in the process, still very much feeling very nervous and anxious about that and thinking like, well, what if I don't get it? All this stuff. And then at the same time trying to figure out what what direction I wanted to go with this podcast, and what did I want it to look like, feel like, sound like. And I was just really in like a lost place where I'm just kind of wandering in the dark. And this really helped me. It really did help me to get grounded and rooted in who God is and who God is in my life. So, one of the topics that I kept reading over and over throughout all the chapters and the books and the scriptures that I've read, one very common theme is trusting in God, trusting his plan, trusting what he has for me is perfect, no matter what it looks like. And y'all, I'm gonna be honest, as as a mom, as a single mom, as a widow, as someone who is just trying her best to make it, to give a good life for herself and her children, I really, in my mind at that time, I was like, I need something that is factual. I need something concrete. I need something that can assure me that me and my kids are going to be okay. I don't have time to play with trust or trusting anyone. The only thing that I can trust is what I can do with my hands, with my mind, with my voice, and it just needs to work out. And I had that mindset, like I don't have time to be trusting in anything besides myself. And I had to let that go, y'all. I really had to let that go, especially since I'm the one that was surrendering and was like, I need help. I need help with raising my kids. I need help with guiding them. I need help with nurturing them, and really just surrendering and asking God to give me whatever wisdom, courage, strength, support that I would need to be able to do this successfully. And trust was a big thing. I really had to lay it all out for God, put in my prayer, my requests, my petition, and just leave it at his feet. And that was hard for me. It was really hard for me because I didn't want to be blindsided again by anything. I didn't want to be caught off guard by anything anymore. And I've spent so much of my life as a mom being reactive to situations and being reactive to things that have happened in our life. I've never been prepared for anything. And I was just tired of not being prepared. And I was like, I just have to trust God. I have to trust his plan. And I have to do what I have to do to be able to ground myself in knowing that God is going to work it out for me. I don't know when, I don't know how, I don't know what this is going to look like. Like, I just have no idea, but I have to trust God and I have to trust his plan for my life. And the more that I read through the Bible and, week after week, like I said, like that has been ingrained in me from the scriptures that I've read. So again, it wasn't easy for me to make that transition, being very hyper independent and only depending on myself, to actually giving everything to God and just being like, it's your will. Whatever you want to make of this, make of it, and just guide me and give me wisdom in the process. So, incorporating trust in my motherhood journey, trusting that I may not have all the answers, but I have what my family needs at the time that they'll need it. And coming to the realization that I'm not perfect and I will make mistakes. As much as I don't want to make the mistakes, I will make mistakes. But being able to recognize those mistakes, recognize the lesson that God wanted me to learn by making that mistake, and then using that information to move forward to be better. And I will say that even now today, after everything that we've gone through and where we are now, I sometimes I still do like have those thoughts like where I'm thinking that I have to do all this all by myself, or I can't confide in anyone about what's going on. But I know now that I can first go to God for anything. I can talk to him about what's going on. I can ask for his guidance, his wisdom. I can seek his word, to hear his word, and be patient. And that's one thing too with this faith journey. I know that it takes a lot of patience, but luckily for me, I'm a very patient person. I can wait for something forever because I would rather it be perfect for me than it not be something that I wanted, or not, or it not be a perfect fit for me. So I'm willing to wait for anything that's worth waiting for. So that part of this faith walk has been easy for me as far as the patience goes. But when everything is on you and you're kind of like the MVP, like you're the major player in the life that you're curating for your children and your family, it is hard to give up that control or the need to be able to control every outcome. It's hard to give that up. But I will say that it's been the best feeling to be able to know that I can give it to God. I can let him know, like, this is a little too heavy for me right now. I'm going to give it to you. And when you're ready to give it back to me, I just pray that I'm able to handle it. I pray that I'll be equipped with whatever I need to be able to handle this. So trust has been really big in the faith journey and me getting closer to God and really understanding how he works in my life. So another thing that I want to touch on is prayer and how creating a prayer life has really helped me throughout my motherhood journey, because just like praying for something here and there, you know, not to say that that's wrong or that's a bad thing, or that you shouldn't do it, but I found that the more fleeting I was with my prayers, like the more like nonchalant here and there I was with my prayers, the more I didn't feel a connection with God, uh, point blank. So I really had to make sure I was persistent in my prayer and made it an actual part of my life. So think of it as, so you make your routine a part of your life. So you have a morning routine. When you get up, you get ready for work, you get your kids ready, all that stuff. I had to find a way to incorporate prayer into my life. So that way it wasn't something like a second thought. It wasn't anything like when something goes wrong, then I pray. It's a part of what I do daily. So as soon as I wake up, even before I put 2 feet on the ground, when I know that I'm awake and I'm not going back to sleep, I'm praying. I'm thanking God for getting me through the night, for waking me up, for watching over me and my kids as we slept, thanking him for his provision, his protection, and then also to asking him to guide me through the day, because I don't know what's going to happen today. I don't know what's going to happen at any given time of the day, but just asking him for whatever wisdom that he feels I may need throughout the day, whatever discernment needs to be had, and just ask for him to guide us and protect us throughout the day. And that, once I started doing that, actually curating a prayer life for me, that also helped me to cultivate that trust more with God. And it's like we have a relationship now. We have something that we do every day together. It's like our standing thing that we do. So it's just really helped to strengthen the relationship that I have with God and really keep me rooted and grounded with Him and keep Him top of mind. Cause throughout when we go throughout our day, like we got so many things to do. We gotta get kids ready. We gotta get to work. We gotta worry about what's for dinner. You make sure everyone, comes home, does their homework, and there's just so many things throughout the day. And we can sometimes get lost in the sauce and, forget those things like thanking God for the day that we had, or checking in with God, letting him know how we feel. Making sure that I created a prayer life ensured that I didn't miss that. I didn't miss those moments to connect with God. And even if throughout the day, like I'm busy and, I'm just kind of going with the flow, I at least know that before I even started my day, I had time with him to converse with him, to ask for his guidance throughout the day and his protection, and being thankful and grateful for what I have. And I'm just glad that I was able to have that time with him because I've been able to carve it into my life. So that's really helped me to build that trust and that rapport with God, and really just create a relationship. The relationship piece is very important with this, because when you think about it, nobody nobody wants to be in a relationship with someone who always calls when they need them or when something's wrong, even though God will be there for you no matter what. But wouldn't it be better to have a relationship where y'all talk often? Like you're sharing things, you're laughing, you're crying, and you're leaving it all at his feet, knowing that everything that concerns you, he will make it perfect. Like, it's a win-win. It's a win-win for sure. And then also too, when it comes to prayer life and actually praying, I made sure to pray and then wait well for what I've prayed for. So anything like that I pray for concerning my kids or my family, I know that it may not happen immediately. I know that some things take time, and I know that God works in his own divine time. But with that being said, if I do put a petition to God, I make sure that I wait well. So I made sure to do my due diligence while I'm waiting for God to work it out for me. So, just as an example, so if I'm praying for my child to be more responsible, like I want my child to be more responsible. I want them to wake their own selves up in the morning. I want them to get their own self ready, get their own breakfast, and I just want them to adapt those behaviors of a responsible person. And I pray for that. Then I'm going to do what I can on my end to help cultivate that within them. I'm going to show them how to set an alarm on their phone. I'm going to guide them on, hey, like you got to set your clothes out the night before so you're not rushing, you know, help them to plan out their day. So what do you plan on eating for breakfast in the morning? Okay, so we have that plan so that way you don't have to sit there wasting time wondering what you're going to eat for breakfast. You already have a plan for it. And through that, like me doing my due diligence and doing what I need to do while I'm waiting for what I've prayed for, God is working in the background. He is working in the background and doing what he needs to do within my child, and also too doing what he needs to do within me to make sure that that prayer is answered. Like I said, like it probably won't be immediate, and it probably won't be soon. It could be. I don't know. But that's where that trust comes in again. And that's where waiting well for what you pray for comes into play, because a lot of us will pray for something, and then by the next day, if it doesn't happen, then we automatically say like prayer doesn't work. Prayer does work. I will say it over and over again because I've experienced how prayer works in my life. So I wholeheartedly believe that prayer works, but I also believe that you also have to work while prayer is working. You also have to do something. It's not one of those things where you pray and then you just sit on your hands. You actually have to be active in your prayer, and really, like I said, do your due diligence, because the Lord may move through you. You see what I'm saying? Like, the Lord may bestow on you wisdom and guidance to be able to then go to your child and give them that wisdom and guidance, because God gave it to you. He's just passing it along through you, and prayer answered. So yeah, I would say definitely, if you are a mom and you're starting on your faith journey, please do not take prayer lightly. Do not think of it as just something you have to do to check off a box, because prayer is powerful and prayer works. And what you speak out loud and the things that you want for your life, just know that God wants it too. And He will make sure that you have it in His time and in His way. And when you look back on whatever it is that you prayed for down the line, and like you're living in your prayer, it's like, wow, like I this is better than what I could have imagined. And that's where I'm at in my life right now. I am looking back on where I was before and the things that I prayed for, and knowing that God was doing what He was doing in the background. And what I found is that some of the things that I was praying for, now that I'm here living in the answered prayer, like, there's some things I pray for that now I don't even want. Like, I'm glad that God didn't grant that prayer or didn't answer that prayer. I'm glad to be exactly where I am right now. Like, I'm ecstatic to be exactly where I am right now. And I didn't picture it this way, but God did. Amen. And it's been beautiful. It's been gorgeous. So, yeah, don't sleep on prayer, and include God into your motherhood journey. Include Him. If you're a single mom, and you're the sole provider, the sole parent, and the other parent is absent, bring God into it. Ask God to help ask God to help you get the things for your child that they're missing from the other parent. Ask God to help you to navigate your child through being in a single parent household. Ask God to equip you with what you need, the tools, the resources, the people, the village, the community. But all we have to do is lean on Him. I really feel strongly about this, and I feel like every time I get behind this microphone and in front of this camera, that I have an assignment or a message that I need to get out to y'all. So I just encourage you, like, to include your faith journey within your motherhood journey. Don't sleep on God when it comes to your motherhood journey. And I promise you will not be disappointed. So, with that being said, mamas, I'm going to go ahead and land the plane here. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you enjoyed this episode, please do not forget to share it with someone else who you think would find it helpful. Also, follow me on Instagram at motherhood_is_ghetto. And don't forget to follow the show. You can follow on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and or YouTube. And lastly, the Empower Mama Planner and the Motherhood is Ghetto Self-Care Journal for Mothers are both still available on Amazon. I will have them linked in the show notes if you are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast, and I will have them linked in the description if you are watching on YouTube. So thank you so much, and until next time, mamas. Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. Don't forget to follow the podcast and share with anyone who you think may enjoy it. And follow me on Instagram at motherhood_ghetto. Also, feel free to DM me if you have any experiences, opinions, or views on motherhood you'd like me to share on the podcast. Until next time, mamas.